pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
McCanny,
Here.
Perkins,
Here.
Kuxkey, Turpinning,
Here.
Murphy,
Here.
DeSessa,
Here.
Cullis.
Here. I would make a motion to excuse Kari Kuxey. She called me and she is fighting off a cold.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? She is excused. The approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there support?
I'll second.
Motion by Turpinning, second by this guy over here, Perkins. Sorry about that. It was like, yeah, him right there.
Some dude.
Sorry about that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from November 18th. Are there any additions or deletions? I go over them, and if I have something, I always highlight it, but I have no highlights.
I didn't have anything.
Okay, and the chair would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Murphy. Is there support?
I'll support. Second.
Support by DeSessa. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, it's approved. Motion carries. I got ahead of myself. Statement of purpose. The mission of the Holly Historic District Commission is to safeguard the heritage of the village of Holly by preserving the historic districts in the village that reflect elements of the village's history, architecture, archaeology, engineering, or culture. The goal of the Commission's work is to stabilize and improve the property values in the historic districts and the surrounding areas, foster civic beauty, strengthen the local economy, and promote the use of historic districts for the education, pleasure, and welfare of the citizens of Holly. Under presentation this evening, big board, picture board, educational materials. Not sure exactly what all that means.
So, good evening, Mr. Cullis and the board. We are looking at if you guys want to do any kind of presentation, organization, big board for the MHPN outing that's coming here in May. We are looking to get that rolling if we have any ideas or suggestions of what the HDC would like to do or like to see there representing the village of Holly. I know we're still a couple months away, but we meet maybe once a month, so I wanted to get this on the agenda. I wanted to get a little brainstorming from the board to see if they even wanted to do something like that, and if they did, what they wanted to do, and maybe start pursuing that through the budget and getting authorization for money to make either big boards, picture boards, some sort of exhibit booth, whatever you guys want to do there. And then I do have some questions regarding that conference.
Okay. Go ahead and, does anybody on the board have questions as to what he has said so far?
Is this something we would set up to just show, like, okay, like, I was going through it, obviously, but this is good, but this isn't, like, kind of that?
Well, you know, I was thinking more of maybe a map of the HDC district blown up on a big board. Maybe list the parcels that are actually in the HDC. I've never been to this conference particularly, so I don't know what to expect or what you guys expect as seasoned veterans on the board. So that's why I wanted to present it to you tonight. If there is any suggestions or ideas, if I'm thinking outside, too far out of the box here, then, reel me in, that's fine. But, I just wanted to get it out in front here, while we still had a few months to get something, in line and have the board look at it.
Has anyone on this board been to a Michigan Historic Preservation Network conference?
No.
Okay, so I've been, Ron's been, Nicole Rankin has been. Beyond that, I'm not sure, of other people that may have been in the past, but those are the people that I know. I know one of the things, I'm working on the committee that's bringing that here with Ron and Janet Krieger, and Nicole's working on some presentations and some walking tours within the village. What I thought would be nice is if we had a booth set up at the conference for people to see some of the projects, the historic preservation projects we've done. We've got some before and after pictures. I would pick projects, the Corte House, which is kitty corner from me, a few years back did a project much similar to what McCanny's just did. They took the old white steel siding off the house. We picked up the front porch lines. We picked up the window trims. We picked up the leaded glass window that was hidden behind that for many, many years. That's a project where we gave motion to proceed because they did put vinyl siding on, but they went from the 8-inch steel that had boxed everything off. They tore all that off. We gained those lines back, and then they replaced it with 4-inch vinyl, which brought it back closer to the wood. The wood's still under there, but the wood's pretty beat up because when they put the steel siding on, unlike your house, they actually put a layer of insulation between the steel siding, and they hammered that all in. So it had like an extra set of nails on it. But that house, we picked up on the carriage house in the back, there's a door where you can put the hay. All of that was gone. It was just covered with white steel siding. We have the house that you helped design the porch for the front on College Street. We've got the McCanny home. So we've got some homes that we can feature. Then we've got the venue itself, that they've done a great job on that building. I'm trying to think, we've got a couple of things downtown. The coffee shop is a good example. Bob Hoffman's building, I'm sure he's got before and after. What a great project that was, bringing that building back. My thought was, if we showed historic preservation in Holly, and we can do that by creating some picture boards and putting some stuff out there, along with the new guidelines that we're gonna be looking at tonight. If we stay on target with my time schedule, we will be ready to print this for this will be ready to put in print and display at the conference. Ron, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, do you know other communities that have their own book, their own set of guidelines for the historic preservation?
There are, I know some are developing, I know Clarkson kind of been working at it for years now. But they haven't accomplished it. I don't know of any in Oakland County offhand that has a guideline book, but
Romeo does.
Romeo?
That's Macomb County, but
So
they have their own set of guidelines. And
did I hear you just volunteer to get us a copy of that? So
Well,
we
I
can
can get
reference it?
I was on
That's
that
what I
board.
heard.
Huh?
That's what I heard.
That's, yeah. It falls under the category of volunteer.
Romeo's a beautiful community, I mean, it'd be a good.
Founded by my family.
I'm sorry?
Founded by my family.
Oh, okay.
Before Michigan was Michigan.
I gotta talk to you after.
So that's part of what we were looking at. I didn't know if anybody else had any ideas or what their thoughts were, but between that and the walking tours that we're looking at putting in place, that's what we were aiming for. I didn't know if you had, it might be nice at that time, somewhere between now and then, we will either find or recreate the board of the new proposed district so we can tell the story of how we're working on that as well.
Okay.
I think that's important to let them know that we're in that process. And I think this guideline booklet, as we get into it today, This board, I'm sorry. That's what happens to my voice. Give me a second. This board has talked about that before, so that we had something so that residents of the district understood more about it. That's what we're gonna look at tonight. This is the beginning of that project at the board level and here. Yes,
May I say something?
absolutely.
The MHPN conference, they're pretty seasoned preservationists. You always have a few that are just getting into it. And really what bringing it to Holly is a chance for you to really show. And I think that's what most of them come to the conference for, is they get as much out of the sessions, but they also get a lot out of the community that's hosting it too. Because there'll be people, hopefully there'll be people, strolling the streets at night, going out for dinner, taking the tours. And we hope to encourage them to stay over the weekend and learn more about it. So anything you can do to promote that, I think will be good.
Do you have any suggestions, Ron? What would do that?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I think what you're saying tonight though is good.
Okay.
So, I
Probably
like
like
people.
free beer.
Just a thought, just because there could be donations from outside
Oh,
the
yeah.
community that could
That's a
help.
good point.
Yeah.
Sure. Jeremy, as we go forward budget-wise, I don't know if you've seen the signs that are in the chamber office that I've had created for the Dickens Festival.
Yes.
We get them through the UPS. They're roughly $50 a board. But I think if we were to get some kind of a budget toward that.
I was told that I can take a couple $100s out of the building budget to work in that, those big boards.
Okay. That would.
Anything beyond a couple $100, I'm gonna have to get approval, and then take that route, because we don't really get a budget other than for
Sure.
training and stuff like that.
Yep.
But talking with administration and McGee, he thinks that we can take a couple $100s out of the building budget, and use it towards the HDC for this particular event.
Okay. All right.
Is there a way to, when this event's going on, to have the trains not come into town so we can do that? Well, could it not have the trains
Oh.
come into town like we've done for the, well, I mean, it's,
I can ask administration, that's a tough one.
because that happened, when, that was such a special event when we went to the depot. I mean, that, to me, that is the,
Oh,
When they
Oh,
brought
during
what
the
he's
depot,
talking
yeah.
about is the old
I
train.
understand, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
right.
They surprised us on that one.
Yeah, but if we could get Lake City to do that one night,
Yeah.
that would be huge.
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic day. I'll always remember that day.
Yeah.
When you talking about when we did the voting?
Yeah, when we did the
Yeah.
voting.
We asked them, and they said, "Oh, we can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do it." And then they just surprised us by doing it twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Well, just during certain hours, I mean. we might
Yeah,
as well
right.
go during-
Yeah.
If they told us when they could do it, we would put it on the schedule and tell everybody to be there,
Okay.
kind of thing. Nicole?
So I'm working on the MHPN conference as well.
I already said that, you just went here.
Yes, sorry, I'm late. Nick Klump and I are working on the walking tour for Friday morning.
Yep.
And part of that tour is hopefully to be able to have the depot open. Nick and I are meeting on Monday to start really
Okay.
getting serious about more of our plans, but that was definitely a consideration, was to have the depot open. But if there's an opportunity for other hours, then.
What he's talking about is getting the train with the old passenger cars.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Lake City's brought it out here twice.
I did not,
they
During
Yeah,
that
that's
day,
what you-
with the voting, yeah. When we had the voting.
yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah, these are old cars from like the 50s, 60s, passenger train,
yeah.
and they took
Okay.
everybody for a ride up and back.
That's not old,
Huh?
that's not old.
Ah,
It is for passenger train cars. Not for you and I, but, for the rest of them.
So I think that's a fantastic idea for the day of the event, or,
Right.
for the weekend, to see if we can coordinate that, and as, we'll add it to the list.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any contacts for that, so that would be the only struggle. So if anybody knows anybody,
I think we could find some contacts for that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we've got contacts for that. That's a great idea, thanks, Tim.
I'll be in the office on Monday, so,
I will be there as well.
okay, great.
Okay,
I do have just a couple more questions.
yep.
Regarding the MHPN conference. Are the members planning on attending?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And does anybody know, is there a fee for, because I looked online today and there's not, it just says it's coming to Holly during these dates, but there's no
There's a
application.
registration fee, yes.
No, there's, okay, so, does it count towards training, continuing education credits?
There are parts of it that do, and you have to, we'll get you that information.
Okay.
There is an,
Just a sponsorship link on there right now, as of this morning.
yes, there is a free session when they do, is it on Friday?
I think it's Friday after lunch, yeah.
Yeah, Friday after lunch, there is a free session, so, but not for the entire, and I don't know what the plans are for.
It's usually a national speaker that they bring in for that, and it's a general program.
We'll get the specifics and pass it
Perfect.
along, yes.
Thank you.
Some of it's still in the development stage.
Yeah,
Just to give you an idea, we've all been asked to pick pictures this week. We had to have our answer by December 6th, just for the brochure, which picture of Holly we thought best for that kind of stuff. And Nick and I went out one day and shot photos around town, and we stole some photos.
I think that's up already on the website, the photos of Holly.
the
Well,
physical brochure that they mail out is what he's talking about.
I think they just copied it and put it on as their header.
yeah, but there'll be more in the brochure.
Perfect, thank
But
you.
I'm just saying, so we just went through that process, so we're working on that. Anything else?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. We will go to public comment. Public comment, if you will, come to the microphone, you get 3 minutes. State your name and address. Anyone for public comment?
Everyone's looking at me, but I'm not saying anything.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here. We don't
Thank you.
know you, and I thought perhaps you were here and had a purpose.
I do have a purpose, just to observe.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Nicole?
not on the agenda, I can give a CLG status update if you want me to, or is that
Sure,
on the
go ahead.
agenda? Hi, Nicole Rankin, 217 Coggeshall Street. CLG status, I'm still awaiting paperwork, so nothing has happened.
Okay.
That's all.
I know some,
All done.
yeah. I know some of that's in the process. I had talked to Jerry the other day. They're waiting for certain things.
I talked to them too.
Jeremy, you're involved in that too?
Yep.
Okay, so, all right, no one for public comment, we'll go into old business, which there isn't, and we'll go into the new business. So, I put it under new business today because it's the first time it's officially come to the board. We've had the conversation in the past about creating some guidelines, creating a booklet, so that when folks move into town, those people that live in the historic district, it's not a guessing game. They can understand where they live, why they live where they live, and how to deal with where they live if they want to do any building, remodeling, or additions or repairs to the outside of their home. From those conversations, Mr. McCanny and I had looked at some different ideas. Mike found a set of guidelines that actually come from Boise, Idaho, and it was one that was professionally done. Boise, Idaho is much larger than Holly. They have 8 historic districts. From the time we originally found it, Mike has gone through and made some changes that would talk to Holly. You'll notice at the top it says Holly. Down below it says prepared for the city of Holly, but that's something the computer did. That should say for the city of Boise. Eventually, when this commission gets done with this, it will be for the village of Holly. But rather than invent the wheel, we have an opportunity to take one that already exists and modify it to fit our community. We can go in and replace pictures of homes that are in here and make them our homes. The intent is, if you want to make a note, write this down. We want the book to have an opening introduction. We want to, that introduction to talk about the value of a historic district and why we have it. Some of those facts and figures can come out of the class or the tutorial that Ron gave us at our last meeting, Ron Campbell from Oakland County. Then We go into some definitions of what a historic district is, how they evolved, where they came from, what the rules and regulations are from the Secretary of Interior, so on and so forth. You'll find those in here. Then beyond that are the guidelines of what do you do with windows, what do you do with this, that, and the other thing. And we've had all those conversations. We brought it tonight to present it to you. I'm gonna let Mike take over actually presenting what we have in front of us. But understand your purpose in looking at this is we want you to take it home over the next month. Go page by page, look at it. For those of you that live in the historic district that are on this commission, look at it and see the things you like, see the things that you think we could expound on, see the things you don't like, and see the things that make you go, what the hell is that? Because if we, the commission, don't understand it, how do we expect the homeowners to understand what it is we're doing? I think it's really important to look this through. Take your highlighter, take some notes, make the notes, so when we come back the next month, my guess is in January, we won't have an application for somebody remodeling a house. But we'll kind of attack it as a workshop forum, and we'll go over everybody's ideas so that we can start to modify this thing. This is December. If we come back in January, we'll take it back, we'll do the modifications, we'll bring it down. Jeremy, good news for you. And our recording secretary is
Lisa?
Lisa. Because Mike's got this all downloaded on his computer, he's gonna continue to make the changes from our level until it's ready to turn over to you guys. Then at that point, you'll be able to scan it, download it, put it in your file. But we'll keep it on this side so you don't have to, we're gonna try to keep the third party out for a while, just to streamline this. But as you go through this, like I said, if there's a section you don't understand or you think should be somewhere different, there are 7 people on this board, including Kari. I've already had some of this conversation with her tonight. We will go over this and bring it back and fine tune this at the January meeting. We'll print it up at the February meeting so we can take it home and look at it again and come back with any last minute tweaks with the intention of sending this to the village council for adoption. And then, once they approve and adopt it, then we'll get it in print, and I'd like to have it ready for the May conference. So when we have our booth set up, we can tell them about our historic district and show them what we've created. Ron Campbell's gonna work with us on it to make sure that we cross our Ts and dot our Is and don't say something we shouldn't. You're in charge of keeping us honest and straight.
I can't spell.
We'll spell, you just keep us on track.
Computer has spell check.
Yeah. At this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Mike so he can walk us through and give us some specifics of what you're looking at. Nicole, do you have a copy?
Yes, I received a copy.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I do have another extra copy if someone needs one.
So don't be scared. The formatting and some of the font sizes, this is the first time I've seen it printed, so that can all be adjusted and wrangled in place.
Yeah,
The document is rather difficult
let
to
me
work
just
with.
interrupt you for a minute. So where is that page so we can show them why you said that?
It's pretty quick in the front.
I thought it was right in the front. Where'd it go?
There's a few.
Oh, the back of the second page. Oh wait.
Like this is what you're talking about?
No.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
there's
Yeah.
another page where the
Page 8.
letters are,
page 8 has a,
hold it up.
this,
They're not supposed to be that
it's
big.
the wrong,
Yeah, the fonts.
it's the wrong header type. So this, it has to be tagged different, so it comes out different. But I've been working on the document. It was about 130 pages long, and now it's down to, I think, 60 or something, 67 or whatever this comes out to be. Oh, with the glossary and stuff, it's probably longer. So,
It's 100.
So 72
been-
front and back.
that's been difficult. It's been
It's 105.
It's been a few hours on this thing. But I'm at the point on the document where I need some decisions and where to go. Because I got it formatted, I got the table of contents automatically creating, I got a bunch of things working on it, but now we need to shift and jive about what we want to do. So the first thing we need to decide is, the original document had about 8 or 9 different districts called out. Each one had their own separate map. Each one had almost the same amount of criteria, but each district itself, they had a couple special things that they were tracking inside of that district. So we basically have, if you really look at it, 2 districts. We have a downtown district, you know, Main Street and those buildings, and then we have the residential district. So first thing we need to decide, do we want to bring those apart or just keep them together and keep the same guidelines for both of them? Or however we want to handle that. That's like number one you can think about. But I'm sorry, you had something? I cut it.
I heard it out, and I'm so bad about that.
That's
I'm
okay.
so sorry. Our ordinance is written in that fashion that we have 2 distinct districts.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So I don't know if
I didn't know if there was
that's a
another call out.
consideration to take into account in writing this, or at least in informing people
Right.
about but that's part of the CLG process is once we go through that, then we can do the full redistricting, and knowing that that's the plan of the HDC, that could be something to take into consideration in writing this is the expansion of the district and realigning them and maybe exclusively, because some of the commercial district also has some residential sort of mixed in with it. So if we wanted to split those out, or if it sounds like within this particular, because they have 8 districts, there could be specific time periods or reasons that they would have broken it out that way.
Yeah.
But we have, I think the majority of the homes in our historic district all sort of fall in that post Civil War construction era. We don't have anything that's like mid-century modern. So that
Right.
would be a design, guideline.
No,
Right.
and I think dividing them out would be a good thing because we look at the historic preservation of the downtown with a little less leniency than we have on the homeowner side
True.
on it. And I think
We
that'll,
use a lot more bold letters than.
yeah.
The traditional downtown.
So, and then also, okay, so that was, I got a list here. Make sure you. All right, so we said, yeah, we're gonna keep it 2 sections, perfect. So the other one to kind of think of is why you're going through this, the table of contents. So the table of contents is a tool to quickly reference into the document when you're trying to find something, look something up. So there's a lot that's not in the table of contents because, as you can see, it gets kind of overwhelming with the 2.1 and a 2.11 and a 2.112, and but I did put those in there to give those. So these are the guidelines. Like if you look on page, the beginning of the table of contents, and 2.1, the downtown historic district. So these are the 14 items that they have listed out in every district in the document that are kind of guidelines, what they look for in, when they're evaluating what's in the building. So I listed them once so you can find them. We don't have to do that. We can take them out. We can put them back in. We can leave in a couple that you think are hot buttons. It's kind of up to us. It makes the document more user friendly because it's a pretty big document. It's really, there's a lot in here, which I think is really nice because there's a lot in here. So we have to look at which sections need to be included or removed, or should we just use major sections like Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, or is there some hot buttons in there that you want to pull out? So think about that. And another thing to think about is just what common questions do you think that we handle as a board? And we can put those in the table of contents and be like, oh yeah, it's right there. Windows,
Frequently asked
fences,
Fences, siding.
yeah. Maybe we could, this doesn't have a FAQ. does it?
I didn't see one when I was looking through it.
We can put it in there. Just beware of everything that we put in. Takes the time and
Separate
stretches
buildings.
it out.
Separate buildings, new buildings, garage, all that stuff.
Garages and outbuildings,
Yeah.
yes, there's a whole chapter in here.
And just so you know, you each have one copy of this. This is your workbook. Don't lose it. I got special permission to print this many pages. Because
It's the first time I saw it printed.
I went over to Jeremy's head, met with Jerry Walker, and I said, I need this printed, and I need it in color so that this group can work on this. And so that's your copy. You lose it, you're gonna have to pay for the next one.
So,
Because it was 70-some pages times,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. I couldn't do that.
it was a ream or two.
I'd have to
of
take a
paper.
loan out for ink.
Nicole's got a question.
Yes.
Well, so based on the last point that you made, I think that the table of contents is really overwhelming, but I think that it's an effective tool to include as an index.
Mhm. We can do an index too, that's
Yeah.
later in the questioning.
Yeah, sorry, I was ahead of you.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's a good, you
Yeah, so
can do
I,
both ends.
yeah, do both ends, put it in as an index, and then I think, it's overwhelming, like when I got it, I was like, oh my gosh, as a homeowner, I don't know that I'm gonna feel compelled to read it. So, but you brought up a fantastic point about what things do we usually look at, so maybe like an FAQ section right at the beginning, like this is what it means to be in the historic district.
Mhm.
These are the most common questions that we get, but we're providing you with all of this information because there's so many unique aspects to being, part of an HDC.
Well, and that's why we had talked about one book, two book, doing it in sections.
Yeah,
We felt that it was an important tool. And then once this is created, and we get it out to the homeowners, then we'll have a couple in-house when somebody comes in and says, I just bought a house, here's my address, and it hits the bell, and you're in the historic district, we go, welcome to Holly, here's all the information you need on your wonderful historic home.
yeah, and with your comment about ink and printing and all of that stuff, is that an expense that the village is gonna wanna incur for the 500 homes that we have in our, or, potential 500 homes that we have in our historic district once it's redistricted?
Well,
Go online for
I think from an initial standpoint, it's one that we're obligated to handle.
Yeah,
And we'll look at that cost as we approach it, but I don't think you can institute something like that without creating something that gives those people to go by.
yeah.
And I think
I
that's,
think it's fantastic, even as working on the CLG status, there's no information, if you're a homeowner, what do you do?
other than the
Wait for
Secretary of
Jeremy to
Interior.
come and knock on your door and
Yeah,
tell you
that's what-
screwed up.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we're
so I
trying
think
to,
it's a huge benefit.
this project is being proactive instead of reactive.
Yep.
And it's giving Jeremy the ability to be a nice guy.
Which he
That's
doesn't
tough.
get often.
That's
What?
That's tough.
I like the glossary, it's cool. That'll be helpful.
We can
Yeah.
expand it, again, it's ours, we can expand it, contract it.
So again, this is gonna be the most important thing you've done on this commission, and it's gonna be one of the most important things that's been done for the historic district in probably 40 years, since its inception in the 80s.
80s or 40 years ago. Anyway,
I said
Yes, sir.
40. Didn't I say 40?
Yes, you did.
that's the next, it's in here.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, that's let me see, pictures is,
I remember, I lived.
it's in here, we go over that. Because that again is it's gonna expand the time period to get it done. So one of the things we also need to do, need to read and verify all the guidelines, make sure that they are consistent about how we
Yeah.
want to operate. And I have a feeling they're gonna be kind of close. The other question is, should we include all the addresses of the current ordinance and put the current ordinance in it? Because we're trying to expand.
Well, I think there has to be a section in here, not only where we put the current ordinance, but where we offer instructions on the process when somebody wants to
Oh,
do something.
right.
Good idea.
I think it should say,
Yeah.
you need to go to the village, this is what you need to ask for, this is what needs to be filed, this is in addition to a building permit, a plumbing permit, an electrical permit, and so forth. So I think that needs to be part of what's in here. I also wanted to point out, as you're going, if you go to page 2, you'll see there's a long column on the left and 2 sentences on the right.
Yeah, that's just a formatting thing.
No, just, I know, that's not my point.
Oh, wait, here are 2. Oh, go ahead.
Page 2 under Design Guidelines for Residential Historic Districts. There's 2 sentences. Does everybody find that page? I see it across the board.
Yep.
See the last 2 words, certificate of, turn it over, and it says appropriateness. We do that a lot in this commission, so make sure you read that and look at that and understand it and see if we need to expound on that. Because that's how we got the Corte House done, that's how the McCanny House got done. Those are some of the things we're a little bit more lenient on because it gets us closer to where we want it to be. So that's an important thing that we want to look at. And I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead.
Okay, so, we were talking about the ordinance itself. So the ordinance itself is 13 pages, I think, 14 pages. And it's just the ordinance, but inside the ordinance it has all the original addresses and owners' names and parcel numbers. So,
I don't know that we would need to include that in the booklets.
that's
We
the
can
question.
we can reference it, but then they could go to the village to find out what that is. Nicole?
As part of the redistricting project, the standards have changed from when our district was originally created.
I know.
So they went by parcel numbers and it was an opt-in, which is not, it's fine, but they've updated their standards, so they prefer to go based on a boundary. So everything that's within a certain boundary. So that would become, once we redistrict, the listing in that fashion would be irrelevant. So to have it in a document that you're gonna publish and push out might not be.
See that, so my thinking was exactly that. So we're publishing this, we print it. Once you print it, you can't go back and white out everybody's copy. So now you're kind of like locked into like a
Well,
framework,
that's why I said we'll
but you can
probably,
revise it.
we'll make reference to the list, but the list will actually be with the village
Okay.
on that. And just because I know this meeting's being recorded, if a viewer from home is watching or sees this at a later date, Nicole Rankin is sitting in our audience. I invited her here tonight. She has a packet. She has been an integral part of the expansion of the historic district. She's heading up that committee. That's a committee that has to be headed by somebody that isn't on the commission, but I wanted her to be involved in this project. So that's why you see us going back and forth with Nicole. We don't typically go back and forth with the audience, but in this case, both Nicole and Ron Campbell are with us tonight.
Yes, thank you for your help.
We're the advisory committee.
Advisory. Okay, so that answers that question. So I should have put the page number, but in the back, they actually handle energy generation questions. And I just happened to flip to it perfectly. Okay, so page 66 is in the section. I don't know if that's the start of it, but that's in the section.
And just to clarify, when this actually gets printed, all these ones where they have a page halfway here and a blank, those will all be fixed and they'll
Oh, yeah,
formatted.
that's just the formatting.
Is this the first time we've printed, but we're finding all of this
Yeah,
stuff?
that's,
And I see this page, the print overrun and so forth, the column ends in the middle. We'll work on getting that fixed. We'll probably print individual pages to see that they print right before we get it, but we'll work on
oh,
it.
yeah, there's,
And this page here, page 67, even shows you this used to be in a ring binder, because the ring binder,
yeah, so pay close attention, because we had this come up, and I'm sure it's gonna come up again, but they seem to have a good guideline about solar panels, and if you read through it, I quickly read through it, and it looks like we made the right decision on the Maple Street house that came up for solar panel retrofit. And then it also goes over windmills.
and if you think about it, this is gonna be helpful for homeowners. We won't have a situation where a homeowner comes in with a company that told them they could do this, and they'll know, it's right here. They'll know before they ever get here, where it has to go, how it has to go. And we won't have that problem in the future.
And there's still an option though, in the right situation to use solar, which,
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yep.
right,
but that.
But I'm
the
saying,
one
before they
project-
stumble in here and run into a wall,
right.
they'll be able to look right at this. They can look at this with their salesman and say, these are the guidelines, this is what we have to do. And they can come in with the right plan instead of going back and forth.
Right. Okay, awesome. So that, the whole energy, it covers solar and wind generation. And,
No turbines in the village of Holly.
so,
I find it interesting how I keep turning these,
Not allowed
these
to have
pages
turbines
that
in the village.
typed over themselves and with dotted lines that show up. I'm not a computer person, but it's
Love
just,
that one.
yeah. Well, you're more than welcome to come over and start clicking buttons and mousing and making sure you keep track. It's
I said, I
a
said,
whole
I
lot
don't,
of fun.
I said, I don't know how to do that, but I don't know what makes it do that, but it's just, it's interesting that a paragraph starts here and
Well, the,
then throws 3 words on the
the
next
heading,
page.
the headers are all changed because that's what makes the table of contents work. You have to pick the right headers, and I picked the wrong one, and it's also causes the table of contents to indent and section properly. So you're trying to change stuff over here to see how the table of contents changes. It's
Are you
rather
using
finicky.
Word, just out of curiosity?
Huh?
Are you using Microsoft Word?
Yes, I am. I tried to port it into Publisher, and Publisher did not like it. So I may have to change tools midstream. So I am trying to make sure that all the changes I make inside the software I'm using are not specific to Word, so we can port out to some other type of professional software, maybe. This is on the string budget, so. We talked about the 2 books. So again, so this is kind of overwhelming, right? So we're looking, I wrote down some questions about, like, it says, do we need to have an instruction letter or an introduction letter or a pamphlet? Because this is a lot of rules at once for some people. An idea was, should we have a welcome letter? Should we have a watch for letter? Watch in your mailbox. The guidelines are coming. They're rather big, but they answer a lot of questions. And then we send out the packet. Like, how do we start thinking about how we want to distribute this to the community? Should we have like a publisher's clearinghouse van with balloons, and we all come up and we knock on the door and we say, surprise, you're in, and give, no. Yeah.
Nicole?
So it's interesting that you mentioned the pamphlet, perhaps, and because this would be a living document, perhaps you provide people with a nice brochure type thing with some really basic information in there that they can reference, and then you have this available online that you could update at any time. And then you're not locked into printing 70-page booklets to hand out to 500 homeowners. You're just printing out maybe a nice little 5-page booklet that they could reference and learn about what it means to have a historic home. And then you can say this, maybe put your FAQs in there and some really basic stuff. And then this is where you need to go to the village website. Under the Historic District Commission, you'll find all of the guidelines and Jeremy Watson's phone number on there, and that they can call.
Yeah. His actual
His
cell phone.
home number.
Cell phone number.
Cell phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, because then we can
Available 24.
stop the
24/7.
versioning problem of
Yeah.
having stale paper out into the,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
because
And-
stale
and-
paper is really a
And
problem.
then we can have copies available at the village
absolutely.
for those people that
Yeah,
are
that's the great idea.
online.
Good idea.
Same point. It's, it's 2021. We still have internet still up, so.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, here it is right here, number 9. Do we include our pictures? This will add a lot of time to publish, or if we add them in, we can add in the pictures as a revision, just to get the document out. The pictures are not behaving very well inside the document, so
See, publishers
it
way
may
better with
require
that,
cookies
but transferring it from Word
Maybe
to
M&Ms.
publishers, I think.
to get something done, because they're, I don't know, So that's another one. Pictures would be very cool. There are a lot of pictures throughout. Some of them we may want to change, but some of them we may not. There's a lot of good education about like characteristics of a building in certain time periods. And if you look at the table of contents, I set them up in there because they were so cool. Yeah, page 22, they start with common styles inside of districts, the Victorian period. Also, we were looking at it, and these periods might have to be changed, but you know, hey, it's a quick edit. We just need to know what to change.
Ron, that was actually a question I had for you. I thought it was interesting the way they described that. You said
Page 22 starts the styles, supposedly.
yeah, but where was that list where they had the 3 time periods?
Oh, it's in chapter 3. Common styles
Common
and
styles.
basic house treatments and sustainability.
Yeah, but something you and I looked at had the 3 of them right there. I think it was the index.
Yeah, table of contents.
I think we only have like one Tudor revival style building in our entire
Section 3,
entire
the table
village.
of contents.
It would be interesting.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah, so the
So we can
question,
add them, take them out. move 'em
Ron, it's, are you on that table of contents page? Chapter 3? Chapter 3, 3.1.
Okay, common styles.
Yeah. You see the dates that they refer to it as the Victorian period, the revival period, and the modern period.
You're gonna go before that because there are Greek revival.
Mhm.
That's why I said I didn't agree with this part of it, because we have Greek revival, we have Italianate, we've got Edwardian, some of those that fall, and that modern period ends at 1950. While we don't have any, well, we have a couple of mid-century moderns. There's one on Saginaw Street across from the library, that area there. We do have a couple, but I just, when I saw that, I thought that might be something we wanted to look at.
Mhm.
You will have definitely an earlier period.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Put that back.
And we're getting near the end. Oh, so one of the other comments was, if we get into this picture project, will there be a problem if some properties are left out? So I don't know how that's gonna fly.
Can't include everything.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was
Well,
just questions to spark
Yeah,
conversations.
it would be like, why is my house not on there? There's a.
If you-
yeah.
because
Like
they're,
Andy's house is on there.
because they're examples.
Yeah.
But if you look in here, probably the section on solar, those pictures don't need to be swapped out because they show solar panels on the houses where they're
Right.
located, proper placement. And we at this point don't have any, so those are probably gonna be. But there are some opportunities where we might have some, the ability to show a before and after
Yeah.
in a couple of places.
Do we have copyright permission for this?
It's a public document and it's not copyrighted.
And we're just doing R&D with that, rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
there's-
it was created with federal funds. If you look at the, if you look
this is, part of it was copyrighted for
Where do you see it?
2011 on the front page.
Mhm.
Content added by Winter and Company, 2011.
That's not copyrighted.
So your
Yeah.
documents financed with part of the National Park Service. So I don't know, that might be a question. Maybe we need to contact.
Ron, is that something you would know about? Okay, so we can do that with a phone call, but I believe that this is a public document because there is no copyright anywhere in the fact that it's federally funded through the national parks.
Maybe the village attorney or something also.
Yeah.
Your taxes help pay for it.
Pardon?
Your taxes help pay for it.
That's my point, yeah.
Yeah,
I said, I don't see how we could not borrow from this, but
good point though.
we can look into it.
And then the last question is, should we create an index for reference topics? And we kind of covered that.
Yes.
So when you're creating an index, it's word by word. So we need to come up with a word list that we want to have stick in the back. There is no automatic index creation tool unless you can find one. Little wizard.
You could, we could talk about it. There is a way, but
Okay,
We
well,
could
I
do
didn't.
searchable text and PDF. form. I mean, you can search the document, but you have to have the existing word list to be able to
Yes,
create that.
you gotta start with the
You
word
have to start
list.
with something, yeah.
So my thoughts were, well, you know, again, kind of like the table of contents, common words, common questions, you know, what are the hot buttons that happens in a district? We've been around for a while, so we kind of have those to mind.
And again, if we're gonna have this online, we can change it at any time.
Yes, we hope. So, there you go. I think it's a great start. And there is quite a bit of work to get done quickly on it, so I'm praying that there's not too many changes and the brand new pictures work out nice and smooth, and I can wrangle the text formatting problems appropriately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions?
Nope, just a lot of reading to do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
May I make a comment?
I'm sorry?
Now may I make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Kulis here. My name is James Koskala. I reside at 207 North Saginaw. So as a bit of a background, we were looking for a house recently, and we had just moved to the village in May. And previously, we had found the perfect house in Linden. And Linden also has a historic district downtown. And their document, I think, is about, I just looked it up, it's 34 pages. And it did scare us a little bit when we were looking at everything. So just keep that in mind. If I don't know if it can be dumbed down even more what they have, 'cause it's pretty dumb. But I'm not saying it was not a good document, but it was very simple reading, I think. And that still was a little bit scary to see what we could and could not do. So
What, in that document, what was it that you liked about it? Was there an FAQ or?
So I don't recall exactly what it was. I just briefly scanned through it again. But I remember at the time thinking, we have to have permission to do all of this, and I wasn't clear on who I had to get permission from or what the process was to do
That's part of-
anything I wanted to do.
That's part of what we talked about would be the beginning part of this. book.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
And the reason why we have a
Territorial
district,
business.
what it does to the community. And
Yeah, because.
'Cause you're
we want-
right.
We want to do with this document exactly what you just said. We want to educate people so that they understand and appreciate the historic district instead of looking at it as the enemy.
Right.
That's why I like what Nicole said, a simplified, here, check this out, couple pages, and then you can go to the website and get, you know,
Right.
whatever this ends up being.
we need to incorporate Ron's presentation of, you know, increased house values, maintaining house values, and, you know, the why we have a district and why it's important to
Yeah,
have
that,
one.
absolutely.
Because, you're right, seeing all the can't do's,
Yeah. Don't.
is rather, frightening. Thank you.
Anybody else with any other comments? Okay. Any staff comments?
I had a gentleman come in today. He wanted to look at, we have a historic book with pictures of houses. And he came in, he was 120, I think, Washington. And I let him take a picture of the document with the pictures, and he was just amazed. And I told him we had a meeting tonight. So I just wanted to let you guys know there are more people coming into the village and they're interested in knowing about their homes. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
That's one of the most common questions we get at the Historic Society is people wanting to find out more information about their home.
Oh, yeah.
And then I tell them, I'm really sorry, but we don't have a file cabinet with information about everybody's house. But if you'd like to make a donation to the museum, we're happy to do the research on your behalf. And then they lose interest.
In Ferndale, we had a lady, old lady. She went and took pictures of every house in Ferndale, and you just went, you looked at your address, got a book, and she had pictures from way back, like everything about the place. But she just did that on her own. It wasn't on.
Well, we have those books at the village.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They have, is it 1 or 2 pages to a house? Two.
I believe at the MHPN conference, there'll be a session on how you go about researching your house.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole nother project.
Yes.
The gentleman also asked about that. He wanted information on where to search, what to do, how to do it.
You can
Well,
always give them
Excellent.
information on contacting the Historic Society.
and that's what we're hoping to do with this in a proactive format. Thank you, Lisa. Jeremy?
I made mine earlier, thank you, sir.
Okay. Because we've been dealing with the folks out in the audience so much tonight, Mr. Campbell, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Did a good job.
Okay, you're gonna help us with the intro part of this because we, yep, okay. Ms. Edwards, Rankin, sorry.
Either is fine.
I met you as Nicole Edwards and that name sticks in my head, sorry.
It's totally fine, because that's my legal name.
Ah,
But,
oh,
yeah, occasionally I get Rankin, which is fine, because I'm proud of that one too. Thank you for including me, asking me to be here this evening. I appreciate being able to offer what I can to the HDC.
okay. Anyone else on the board? We will look at adjourning this meeting.
I just want to thank
Oh, I'm
Mike
sorry.
for all this
Oh,
work.
yeah.
You did great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great start.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Thanks.
Yeah.
There are many hours getting this thing to this point,
Yes.
so it's,
Done
when he
good.
started adding things to it, I was like, oh, another section, okay.
Yeah. He's called me more than once grumbling over this and should we drop this or cut that or what do you think? And like I said, we got it to this point and I felt that it was time to bring it to the board.
Yeah, it needs, we're really at the
Because-
point where we need to go this way or that way.
Yeah. We need more input at this point.
Yep.
All right. We will look at adjourning this meeting at, I'm waiting for it to tick, 7:57.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Christmas.
Jeremy, it hit it as I hit the gavel.
I seen you.
Because it had been 7:56 quite a while, so I knew it was coming.